What's up, guys? It's Josh with TheCardGuyz, and today I'm going to be bringing you guys my deck tech for Dorinthea Iron Song in Classic Constructed. I recently played this deck in the TheCardGuyz versus Blue Pitch show match that's currently on the channel right now. You guys can check that out. I played in game number 3 against Reinhardt. If you guys haven't checked out that game was very, very good. I encourage everybody to watch that one. But yeah, let's just jump right into it. Over here on the left side here, this is the core deck. These are the 54 cards plus equipment that I run in every single matchup. Over here on the right side is the sideboard. So let's just jump into the main board first. So the first thing that you might notice is that in terms of equipment, I'm running bolters in every single matchup. This deck also is going to feature both of the Dawnblades, the original Dawnblade, as well as the newly printed Dawnblade Resplendent. I think this is a very, very nice addition to Dorinthea's arsenal and an important piece for the control matchups. Anyways, we have Skullcap, Bracers, Courage, and Tunic. These are pretty much staples. Generally, you run the Courage when you think the games are shorter. You run the Tunic when you think the games are longer, or you don't need the block, or you're going to bring in the Steelblade Shunt. In addition to that, we play Nullrune Hood, Gloves, and Robe. So against Wizard, we will be playing AB3 plus the Bolters. All right, so that kind of covers the equipment there. In terms of the main deck here, we play a pretty standard array of attack reactions. We run the full 3 copies of Iron Song Response. I know some people have started cutting that to 2, but I think we're currently in a metagame where people are more likely to block, so I think you should run all 3. So in terms of the +3 pumps, we have Iron Song Response, we have Out for Blood, Stroke of Foresight, Razor Reflex. Razor Reflex, this is also a card that not every Dorinthea runs. However, I think with I think we need a little bit more attack reactions these days because we have things such as Glistening Steelblade. We really want that to hit, right? So we run 12 +3 pumps. In terms of the larger pumps, I always like running 1 Biting Blade. I think this is kind of my pet card as Dorinthea. This is kind of my own spice here. I don't really see a lot of Dorintheas running this, but I love just to have this because with Singing Steelblade, this could give you to +5, which means if they block Xaxes and you go Singing Steelblade into Biting Blade, they're not going to be able to fix that with a Sink Below or Fate Foreseen or something like that. Just having the option of giving an attack +4 or with Singing Steelblade +5, I think is really, really important. In the main deck, we also run a pair of Overpower and a Rout. These are just important cards. We have 1 Overpower in the sideboard as well as 1 Rout in the sideboard. Those will come in when we have we really need our weapon to hit and we aren't really playing shunts or potions or something like that, right? Okay. In terms of other attack reactions, we have our classics like Glint the Quicksilver and Singing Steelblade. These are auto includes. Obviously, these are Glint the Quicksilver is one of the best cards in the whole game. It's a 0 cost blue pitch block 3 with an amazing effect. Obviously, we're playing the whole set there. Singing Steelblade, this is an amazing card as well. I don't need to talk much about it. If you're a warrior player, you know what this card can do. This card allows for some of the most explosive and largest turns possible. In terms of other attack reactions, we have the new run-through card. I think this is a very, very nice addition to the deck. You also see we have a Blade Flash here. These 2 cards in combination mean that whenever we attack with the Dawnblade straight up, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be Glint or Bolters. And, that's just the existence of run through already creates some trouble because they're like, okay, three with no go again. Okay. No blocks. Okay, then you play run through, and now the next attack is 5, and you probably still have a card in hand, and now that becomes a big problem for them. So, yep. The only other attack reaction we haven't talked about is Twinning Blade. This is a very, very important card, and it actually is now a main deck card. I used to kind of have like a I used to consider Twinning Blade kind of a sideboard card, but now I think it's actually a main deck card because we have Unconditional Go Again from Glistening Steel Blade, Unconditional Go Again from Run Through. So yeah, Twinning Blade, this is a very, very important card because it allows you to go around. Instead of going over, you can go around attacks. And yeah, this is just important. So it's so important that I think you run all 3. All right, so that's the attack reactions. In terms of pre-combat stuff, we're just running the absolute strongest stuff possible. We have Spoils of War, Warrior's Valor. These are our real powerhouse cards, and whenever we play one of these, our opponent is going to be a little bit nervous because, especially Spoils of War can... because it has Unconditional Go Again, if you have Singing Steel Blade or Twinning Blade, you can really blow them out. Warrior's Valor is just, the red Warrior's Valor is just straight up strong. So this is these 2 cards are both excellent arsenal targets, as well as Steel Blade Supremacy obviously is a very, very good arsenal target. So yeah, we have Spoils of War, Warrior's Valor, Steel Blade Supremacy. Also, we have the new Glistening Steel Blade. This card is insane. This really helps our threat density. In the previous decks, we basically had Valor, Spoils, and Supremacy. That was basically it. Now with Glistening Steel Blade, our threat density is much, much higher. So yeah, this is an excellent card. We're going to play all 3 of them. Yep. So in terms of finally we also have a Nourishing Emptiness. This is a card that you're obviously just going to play one of. We don't have any other attack actions in the deck or even in the sideboard, so this is always staying in. If you can get Unconditional Go Again and follow up with Nourishing, that's good, or you can use this as a finishing card, is also very nice. Even on turn 1, it's pretty good as well. So yeah, in terms of the energy base here, we're running 2/2/2 of the Response Overpower Out for Blood, so that's 6 there. Warrior's Valor is 9. Hit and Run Glint, that's 15. Blade Flash brings it up to 16. In all matchups, I want at least 16 blues. In most matchups, I will actually be bringing in some sideboard blues to up the count a bit. So let's look at the sideboard now that we've gone through every single card in the main deck. So we already talked about the equipment here. We have 3 energy potions here. We have the Overpower and the Rout, like I was talking about earlier. We have a pair of Remembrances, a Shatter, 3 Sink Belows, 3 Shunts, and 2 Time Snap Potions. So let me talk a little bit about each of these cards and when they would come in. So the Energy Potion, anytime you need to set up a big turn or you just need to get to 60, or you bring in Overpower and Rout, generally I'll bring in the Energy Potion. Even in matchups where it's a little risky to have no blocks in your deck, I still think this is a pretty important card because the current Dorinthea really kind of wants to play with like a 6-card hand if possible. Just having an Energy Potion on the field makes the math for your opponent much harder, and it makes your plays way more unpredictable. So in general, I would be bringing an Energy Potion against most decks, especially if I'm going first, because if you can turn 1 E-Pop, that's really, really nice. Overpower and Rout, I talked about those already. They come in when we really need our weapon to hit, or we just need more oomph. Generally, they'll come in with the Energy Potions just because these are very, very expensive. We have a pair of Remembrances here. This is kind of a combination package with Dawnblade Resplendent. So if you play Dawnblade Resplendent, which I would play in, you know, the more controlling matchups like against the Guardians, or matchups where things are going to be a bit slower like Dash. So you bring in Dawnblade Resplendent, you bring in the Remembrances, and your number one priority would be to get back the Glistening Steelblade. And then, you know, Warrior's Valor, Spoils of War, Steelblade Supremacy are all very excellent targets as well. But yeah, so I mean, with Remembrances, you could you're likely to have, you know, 6 or 7 copies of Glistening Steelblade, which is just ridiculous. Like it makes, especially considering that with Dawnblade Resplendent, your counters don't fall off. So if you're able to hit even, you know, 2-3 times at a game, you've probably already won at that point. So yeah, the Remembrances come in with Dawnblade Resplendent. We have 1 Shatter in the deck. This is mainly to break the Stalagmite, not Stalagmite, Ram's Head. So when playing against Guardians, if they're, especially in an open decklist format, if you don't have a Shatter in your deck list, your opponent won't respect you. So you really, this card is pretty important just to mess up their efficiency. So they like to Crown of Seeds plus put the Ram's Head out there. So yeah, you're definitely going to want to combo the Shatter with either a Rout or Overpower if possible in general. You're also going to want to time it preferably when you have a feeling that they don't have a D-React, right? So yeah, that's a pretty important card. Sink Below, this is just a staple card. I think I think in combination with Shunt, this provides enough defense against the Mirror, and just Sink Below is just a good card to have against Briar, against Reinhardt. I mean, there's a lot of matchups where your life is easier with Sink Below. So yeah, we play that. Shunt, this comes in against you know, the Guardians, against the Mirror, and anytime you are running Tunic, running Shunt is not a bad idea. Finally, we have 2 Time Snap Potions. This is just, again, if you need to set up a bit more. The reason we don't have 3 is because, you know, the deck list is pretty tight, and the deck already has quite a bit of Go Again and sources of Go Again that rarely do you need another source of Go Again. However, the Time Snap Potion does allow you to set up a triple hit combo. So if you play Courage, you're quite incentivized to bring in a couple of these, because if you go Time Snap, Courage, and you have a Twinning Blade, you can attack 3 times in a turn, which is pretty nuts. People ask me sometimes why I'm not running the Crown of Providence. In general, I think that's better for aggro decks. You probably have heard me say many times that I don't think Dorinthea is an aggro deck. Dorinthea is actually a mid-range deck. If your hand is bad, you just block and move on. I think the extra block from the Skullcap is actually worth more than the hand filtering. It's also hand filtering that you cannot always control the timing of. It does help you against CNC, but Dorinthea is already pretty insulated against CNC because she has a lot of 3 blocks, she has a lot of armor. So yeah, I prefer the Skullcap over the Crown of Providence. Yep, that's about it. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, you guys can leave that in the comments below and I will try to answer them. Yeah, so that's all for me. Make sure to watch the show match games if you haven't. Those were some very, very excellent games. Yep. All right, I'm out. See ya.